Oh God, it's getting worse. What the hell? I'm not sure what's going on, but as you guys saw, the lights came on the dashboard, and when I turned the turn signal on to get off the highway, the gauges started going crazy, the RPMs, and also the miles per hour went crazy, and all of a sudden the car just died on me, and I coasted off the freeway. Alright, so today's Friday, and I just turned the car on again. I charged the battery, and the battery light is back on again. So it is a true indicator that my alternator has gone bad. So let's get the car into the garage. I got the Cavalier in the garage and out of the sun. Pulled the battery out, and I started cleaning up a little bit on the battery tray. And I'm gonna start taking the intake out of the car. I have the battery on the trickle charger again, and it's almost full. So definitely those 10-15 minutes that I had the car running, it did kill the battery. It's not charging at all. It's not holding charge. It's an old Valuecraft battery. It came with the car. Not a bad battery. So far, you know, in the years that I've had it, hasn't given me a problem. I can't really be mad at the car. It has about 244,000 miles, so I think I got my money's worth out of that alternator. So real quick before I get started with this job and I lift up the car, I'm going to remove all the plumbing from the intake. So first I'm going to remove this hose clamp right here. I'd already loosened it up right there. I'm going to pull off this vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator, and this is the air temperature sensor you're going to pull out right here. And there's also another hidden clamp behind this black box right here. If you guys have the factory one, it's right there. It's also an 8mm. All you gotta do is unscrew it and then grab some pliers, and off of the valve cover there's this little blow-by hose you need just to pull off right here, either here or here. But this one's really hard. I'm afraid I might break it, so I'm just gonna pull it from here, lift up the box, and then pull the hose out. And after that, I gotta lift up the car, take the wheel off, take the fender liner off, and then I can get to, you can't even see it from here, it's so tight. Down there is the belt. Gotta remove the belt. So I got the airbox off. Now it's over here on the floor. Now we're left with is a dirty throttle body that I probably need to clean after I'm done changing out the alternator right there. I need to loosen a couple more things. I think I need to loosen this this bolt right here so I can get the dipstick tube loose, and then start moving a couple things around. I have to remove this upper radiator hose. I don't know the best way to do it. I really hate working with coolant. I just hate the feeling of it. I hate working with it, the smell, everything about it, especially Dexcool. I hate that stuff so much. So that's the next thing I need to work on. Before I get started on that radiator hose, I came down here and started taking off some of the fender liners. I don't think you need to take the whole thing off. I've been cheating and using this 8mm electric ratchet. So far I've done this here, here, and I pulled out the old cardboard creeper, and there is 2 more bolts here and here, and I believe there are 2 of those Christmas tree buttons that you need to take off. So one right here. I don't think you guys can see it. Maybe you can. Well, it broke, but I have plenty of replacements for it. And another one back here. It is broken as well. So they're old. Like a charger or something flying by. Jeez. Alright, so they both broke off. No worries, I have replacements for them. Alright, so forget about I said it, it'll be real quick. A couple things. So it's more involved than that. So you do have to take more pieces off. So I went underneath, took 3 more bolts off, got this piece of the lip off, and inside there is a connector, a wire connector right here. So there's, if you're looking at it from the inside, there's obviously 1, 2, 3 back there. So if it's sitting like this in the car, you need to unplug. And this one was on the inside of the fender well, you guys saw. But this one over here was a hidden one. It's another Christmas tree thing. So yeah, it wasn't too easy to get to. But I got the fender liner off now. I'm probably gonna be able to take the belt off. Alright, so I got the belt off of the main pulley, or off of, I'm sorry, the idler pulley, which is right there, and up right in this area. You can kind of see that little square hole is right there where you put just a ratchet, and in the loose position you can lift up the idler pulley and get the belt off of the drivetrain. Alright, let's get started up on top now. So I got started up here, and they're removing the hose clamp. I seen a couple other people on the videos, they zip tied it up on top. I put a couple shop towels at the bottom of it, and as you can see, there is the aftermath. They're all wet, so I'm just letting them air dry. So I took the hose off, I zip tied it here. I took that bolt off of the dipstick tube. I mean, it gave me a little bit of play. You can see it right there. And then this one right here also has a little Christmas tree thing. It connects right here, and I pulled it out. It gives me a little bit of room. I got one bolt out here, the other one's still in. And the third bolt underneath, you can see it right there. I kind of got it started. It's not too hard to get to. A lot of people like to go from on top. I went through the bottom since I already have the car raised up. I had to take the fender liner off for the belt. So that's all three of them right there. Alright, let's get this alternator off. Alright, so I got the alternator out, and so far throughout this job, this is probably the first hardest thing to do, is going to be to get this alternator out. The second hardest thing is, probably so far, is just taking everything apart, taking the hoses off, taking the fender liner off, and all that other stuff right there. But here's the old one, as you guys can see it. I'm about to grab the new one. Here's the old one. I'm not sure exactly what failed. I mean, it spins, but I am no technician. But I did go ahead and order a brand new AC Delco one off of Amazon. They're not too expensive on there, but I mean, it's better than those remanufactured ones. I'd rather just buy the brand new, OEM. Sometimes if it's possible, and this was affordable. So when I was taking it out of the car, if you're facing the car, it kind of goes like this. Obviously your belt's over here. I took the two bolts out, and then the bottom one I showed you guys underneath the car. And then up on top, there's this little clip connector. You guys kind of have to reach in. Well, I reached in, pulled it up a little, and it popped out. And then I was just kind of dancing around with the alternator inside, because it is very, very, very cramped inside that engine bay to move this thing around. And you kind of have to muscle it around till you get to this point, and you have to unbolt this nut right here that it has on it, which is, I believe, the positive to the alternator. As you can see, it's exactly the same thing. It has that one connector right here, and it does come with the new bolt right here. So, kind of hard. Oh, there it goes. So I'll be using this new one as well. Alright, I'll show you guys what I mean in the car right now. So it was a bit of a bear to get it out. Here's that one connector that I was talking about. So I used a little pick, one of these, and I reached from the inside right here when the alternator was still in, and I was able to lift this piece up, and it kind of sits like this in the car, and it just comes out like that. And then I was able to kind of move the car around, the alternator around in the car. I took the dipstick out because I've seen other videos where people, when they're trying to take the alternator out, they accidentally break it. It's right there on the floor. I'll put it back in when I'm done. And then this is the other red piece that I was talking about. I think this is a positive on that nut in the back. Just unscrewed it and pulled it out. And then I just kind of played with it a little bit. A lot of people say it's better if you remove the recovery tank. I didn't need to right now, but I might need to when I'm putting it back in. I noticed it kept rubbing right here, and it kept rubbing on the hose right here. So be very careful with the hoses, especially if they're old like this one right here. Try not to like cut it up or anything like that with the alternator. Now I'm gonna try to see if I can dance this new alternator back in here. I might have to dry that off right there. I don't want any of the coolant falling on the car, or on the alternator. Alright, I wanted to show you guys where I'm at. So I was able to get the alternator back in the car a little bit easier. Just kind of wiggled it in carefully. I didn't want to drop it hard, so it's right now it's sitting on the AC compressor, and that way I can get this positive cable back on and then bolt it down with the 13mm ratchet. So now all I'm going to do now is kind of sit it up, and the connector that I was talking about earlier, this one right here, it's going to go in right here, and it's got a clip right here. Oh, no, don't move. All right, it goes like that, and then so this, when I pick it up, it's going to line up to this one here, and there's another bolt right there, and then underneath there's that third bolt. I left it underneath the car so that way I don't get them confused. After that, then I'm going to get the coolant back on there, and the coolant hose back on there, so I'll catch you guys up in a bit. Alright, so we're moving along here. So I got the alternator set it up, put the 2 top bolts in. I connected this wire connector. I forgot to tell you guys too that I was having a little bit of spacing issues with the dipstick tube, so I had to loosen this bolt and this one up right here. It's all connected together. I hope I didn't mess anything up. Hopefully not, but it gave me enough room to get this thing out of the way. Now I just kind of have to bend it back a little bit and finish buttoning everything up. So I got the 2 top bolts on top. I'm going to see what the torque specs are on it, and I'm going to bolt down the bottom one as well. So I'll show you guys that right now, what the torque specs are if I find them. I checked the Haynes manual, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of information on the 3 bolts for the alternator to torque them down. I'm not surprised. It's always hit and miss with that book. So I ended up putting the serpentine belt back on. Now I am going to tell you guys right now that when you guys are bolting these 3 bolts down, I did see a lot of reviews on Amazon where people are talking smack, saying that these things are cheap or whatever, but they have to use a little bit of common sense as well. This is aluminum that you're tightening down, so it is going to crack, it is going to break if you're going to gorilla grip it, you know what I mean? Tighten it down super hard, then it's going to break. It's not steel, so just use a little bit of caution when you guys are tightening down. I mean, I did tighten it down as much as I could, but not enough that I know I'm going to crack it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to freshen this area up a little bit. Going to clean the throttle body, clean up some of the stuff area right here, and then I'm going to put the hose back. Well, first I'm going to put the hose back in, and then I'm going to do the rest of the other stuff. So this is what the engine looks like after about 10 minutes of cleaning around the throttle body. Not the engine, but the throttle body area. It's normally covered by the air box. So I use a little bit of degreaser on the outside. I'm really careful not to get too much on the electrical components, making sure they're drying right now. And then I use some of the CRC throttle body and air intake cleaner on the inside right here. And you see I also got some in the little duct in there. Now it's nice and clean. So now all I got to do is just put the fender liner back on, and then just put the plumbing back on for the air intake, and then we're going to test and see that if the alternator is working perfectly, I hope. Alright, I buttoned everything up. So we got all the plumbing back on, got everything that needed to be tied down. Battery has been reconnected again. I just finished charging it. Car's back down on the ground. Wheels are back on. You know, obviously the fender liners have been put back on. Lug nuts have been torqued down to 100 foot-pounds now. Let's see what happens with the alternator. So every time I would turn the car on after, it gave me that problem. The battery light would come on. So now we're going to see if it solved the problem. So there's the light right there. You know, it's doing its self-diagnostic. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's doing a self-diagnostic right now. Alright, clutch is in. Alright, there it goes. So if we're still having an issue with the alternator, the light should turn back on right now. So far so good. The idle's a little high. I think maybe because I cleaned the intake. I did hear a little squeak when the car first turned on. Hopefully you guys were able to hear that too. But hopefully that's not a bad thing. Alright, there we go. Now we're leveling off on the RPMs. And still nothing, no light on yet. Let's see what else. I don't want to rev it. Should I rev it? Let's give it a 1500. Nope. Nope, no light. Alright, so let's check it out. Let's see if anything's rubbing. Alright, so everything's buttoned back up. Everything's looking good. There's a new alternator. No alternator light. Yeah, cool. Alright, no alternator light. So that's what it was. That was the issue. It was the alternator, guys. Alright, let me I'm gonna take it for a spin right now. Alright, is this car perfect? No, it is not. It has its issues. The paint's not the nicest. I mean, it's not the worst. It is peeling. The clear coat's peeling on it. As you guys can see, the dash, it's all cracked. It's no good anymore. But they do sell replacement parts for that. Not replacement, but just like a little overlay that goes over it. I mean, I had a carpet for the longest time over it, one of those dash liners. But I got tired of it. I mean, I like the way the dashboard looks, even with the defects. It said this car is not perfect. It's not perfect by any means, but it gets me to point A to point B. Anyways, that's enough yapping for me, guys. The car's running good. I think the alternator issue is solved, and I won't be pushing this car hopefully off the freeway anymore anytime soon because the alternator went bad. Alright guys, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.